You picked the wrong mother. Maya Torres whispered those 5 words as a masked man pressed a gun to her 6-year-old daughter's head. 63 parents watched in frozen terror. The gymnasium fell silent. The gunman laughed, thinking he held all the power. He was wrong. In the next 3 seconds, Maya Torres, the quiet teacher's aide, who packed lunches and attended PTA meetings, would break his wrist, disarm him, and put him on the floor. Because the trembling young mother in the blue dress wasn't just a mother. She was Navy SEAL Team 6. Call sign Phantom. And she had just been activated. Maya Torres had spent 3 years building this invisible life. 3 years of early morning shifts at the elementary school. 3 years of packing Elena's lunch with handwritten notes that said, "Mommy loves you," and "You're my sunshine." 3 years of parent-teacher conferences, grocery shopping at the same store every Tuesday, and attending church on Sundays, even though she'd stopped believing in God somewhere between her 3rd deployment and her husband's funeral. 3 years of pretending she was nobody special. Tonight was supposed to be simple. Elena's first performance with the school choir. 6 songs, maybe 45 minutes, then ice cream at the diner down the street. Maya had even worn the blue dress Elena picked out for her, the one that made her look like a princess, according to her daughter. "Mommy, do I look okay?" Elena had asked in the car, fidgeting with her white blouse. "You look perfect, baby." "What if I forget the words, 'Then you hum, nobody will notice'? Promise, promise." That was 90 minutes ago, before everything changed. The gymnasium was packed with families, folding chairs arranged in neat rows facing the small stage where 23 children stood in their Sunday best. Principal Martinez had welcomed everyone with his usual warmth. The choir director, Mrs. Patterson, raised her hands to begin the first song. Maya sat in the 3rd row from the back. Not by accident. She always chose seats near exits with clear sight lines to all entrances. Old habits. The kind that kept you alive in places most people couldn't pronounce. Elena waved from the risers, her gap-toothed smile lighting up her whole face. Maya waved back, her heart swelling with something she'd almost forgotten how to feel. Peace. Genuine, ordinary peace. Then the doors crashed open. The first man through was massive. 6'4", maybe 240, moving with the controlled aggression of someone who'd been trained to enter rooms violently. He wore black tactical gear, face covered by a balaclava assault rifle sweeping the crowd. "Nobody moves." His accent was thick. Eastern European. Russian, maybe? 3 more men followed. Same gear, same weapons, same professional efficiency. They fanned out immediately, covering all exits. The gymnasium had 3 doors. Within 4 seconds, all of them were blocked. Screams erupted. Children crying. Parents shouting. "I said, nobody moves." A father in the front row stood up anyway. "What the hell is this? There are children here." The lead man crossed the distance in 3 strides and drove the butt of his rifle into the father's face. The crack of breaking bone silenced the room. The man crumpled, blood pouring from his shattered nose. His wife screamed and dropped to help him. "Anyone else want to be hero?" Nobody moved. On the risers, Elena had started crying. Maya could see her from across the room, her little shoulders shaking, tears streaming down her cheeks as she searched desperately for her mother. Maya wanted to call out to her. Every fiber of her being screamed to run to her daughter, to hold her, to tell her everything would be okay. But she didn't move. Because the woman who ran to comfort her crying child would draw attention, and attention right now could get them both killed. So Maya Torres did what she'd been trained to do. She became invisible. She shrank into her chair, made herself smaller, let her shoulders curl inward with fear. She let tears fall, real tears, because the terror wasn't an act. She was terrified. Just not for the reasons these men would assume. "My name is not important," the lead man announced, pacing in front of the stage. "What is important is that we are looking for someone. Someone in this room. Give us this person and everyone else goes home to their families tonight." Maya's blood turned to ice. They were here for her. She'd known this day might come. Had prepared for it, planned for it, lost sleep over it for 3 years. But knowing something intellectually and feeling it happen were two very different things. "Who?" Principal Martinez stepped forward, hands raised. Brave man. Stupid, but brave. "Who are you looking for? Maybe we can help." The lead man laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Maybe you can. We are looking for woman, young, late 20s. She would have arrived here in this town maybe 3 years ago. She would keep to herself. She would have military training." He paused, scanning the crowd. "She goes by different names. But her real name is not important either. What is important is what she took from us." Maya forced herself to breathe normally. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out. The same breathing pattern she'd used in 100 combat situations. "I don't understand," Martinez said. "This is an elementary school. We have teachers, parents, children. Nobody here has military training." "Then you won't mind if my men check identification." It wasn't a question. The next 15 minutes were methodical and terrifying. Each of the 4 men took a section of the gymnasium. Parents were forced to stand, show ID, sit back down. Children were separated from their families and moved to the stage, watched over by one of the gunmen. Elena was among them. Maya watched her daughter being pulled away by a man with a rifle, and something inside her shifted. Not breaking, not yet, but changing. The fear was still there, but beneath it something else woke up. Something cold and patient and very, very dangerous. "You." One of the men smaller than the leader, wiry with quick eyes, stood in front of Maya. "ID." She fumbled with her purse. Her hands shook. That part wasn't acting. I'm sorry, I'm just so scared. ID, now." She handed him her driver's license. Maya Torres. Date of birth making her 28. Address on Maple Street. Everything perfectly ordinary. He examined it, compared it to her face, handed it back. "Open your purse." Maya's heart stopped. What? Your purse. Open it. Show me inside." There was nothing incriminating in her purse. No weapons, no classified documents, nothing that could identify her as anyone other than who she pretended to be. Except for one thing. A small challenge coin tucked into the inner pocket. Gold and black with an eagle and trident design. She'd kept it hidden for 3 years, unable to throw away the only reminder of who she used to be. The man dumped her purse onto the chair beside her. Wallet, keys, tissues, a pack of gum, a small notebook, Elena's emergency inhaler, and the coin glinting under the fluorescent lights. He picked it up, turned it over. His eyes widened. "Victor!" The wiry man's voice was sharp, urgent. "Victor, ty должен это увидеть." The leader crossed the room quickly. He took the coin, examined it. Maya watched his expression change from curiosity to recognition to something that looked almost like satisfaction. "Where did you get this?" He held the coin in front of her face. It was my father's. He was in the Navy. He died when I was young. Please, I don't know what any of this is about. Your father, Victor smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. This coin is not from Navy Little Mouse. This coin is from Devgru. You know what is Devgru? Maya shook her head frantically. Devgru is, how do Americans say it? SEAL Team 6. Most elite warriors in your country. He leaned closer. This coin is given only to operators. Only to those who serve. Your father was not in SEAL Team 6, was he? I don't know, he never talked about... Victor grabbed her arm and yanked her to her feet. His grip was iron bruising. Do not lie to me. This coin is new, less than 5 years old. Manufacturing mark on bottom tells me this. Maya let herself cry harder. Please, I don't know anything. Please. Bring the child. Those 3 words changed everything. No. Maya's scream was raw, primal. No, please, not my daughter, please. The wiry man crossed to the stage where Elena stood among the other children. He grabbed her by the arm, and Elena shrieked. Mommy! Elena! Victor pulled Maya back. Listen to me very carefully, little mouse. I am going to ask you questions. For every lie my friend Dmitri will hurt your daughter. Do you understand? I'm not lying. I don't know anything. Victor nodded to Dmitri. Dmitri pulled Elena's arm behind her back. The 6-year-old screamed in pain. Stop, stop it. I'll tell you anything. Victor smiled. Good. Now we are understanding each other. Let us start again. What is your real name? Maya's mind raced. She had 2 choices. Tell the truth and confirm their suspicions, or continue lying and watch them hurt Elena. Neither was acceptable, which meant she needed a 3rd option. My name is Maya Torres, she said, her voice suddenly steadier. And I'm going to tell you everything. Victor's eyebrows rose. Good. Continue. But first I need you to let my daughter go. That is not how this works. Please. She's only 6. She doesn't know anything. She can't know anything. I've protected her from all of it. Let her go back to the other children and I'll cooperate. I swear. Victor considered this. Then he nodded to Dmitri, who released Elena. The little girl ran to her mother, sobbing. Maya caught her, held her tight, whispered in her ear. To anyone watching, it looked like a mother comforting her terrified child. It was, but it was also something else. Remember our game, baby, Maya whispered. The hiding game we practiced? Elena nodded against her shoulder. When I say thunder, you hide. You find the safest spot and you don't come out until I come get you. Okay. Okay, Mommy. I love you, sunshine. I love you too. Maya released her daughter. Go sit with Mrs. Patterson. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Elena hesitated, looking back at her mother with those big brown eyes that looked so much like her father's. Go, baby. Elena went. Maya turned back to Victor. The fear was still in her eyes. But beneath it, something else was waking up. Something she'd tried to bury for 3 years. Now, Victor said, your real name. If you're feeling your heart racing right now, if you're as invested in Maya and Elena's fate as I am, you're going to want to stay until the end. This story is about to take a turn that will change everything you think you know about the quiet young mother sitting in this gymnasium. My real name, Maya said slowly, is classified. Victor laughed. Classified. You think you are in movie? I think, Maya continued, her voice dropping lower, that you have no idea what you've walked into tonight." The change was subtle, but unmistakable. Her shoulders shifted back, her chin lifted. The trembling in her hands stopped completely. Dmitri noticed first. His grip on his weapon tightened. "I think," Maya said, "that you came here looking for someone. And you found her. Congratulations. But here's what you didn't factor into your mission planning." She stood up slowly. Victor's hand moved to his holstered pistol. "You brought 4 men. 4 men to find me. 4 men against 63 civilians, including 23 children. And you thought that was enough. You are 1 woman," Victor said. "You are unarmed. You are nothing." Maya smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "My call sign was Phantom," she said softly. "And I was never nothing." The gymnasium fell absolutely silent. Even the crying children seemed to sense that something had changed, something fundamental about the dynamic of power in the room. Victor's confident expression flickered. Just for a moment. Just enough for Maya to see. "Phantom," he repeated. "You expect me to believe—" "I don't expect you to believe anything. I expect you to listen. Because what happens next depends entirely on the choice you make in the next 30 seconds. "What choice?" Maya's eyes moved across the room, cataloging positions, calculating angles. Dmitri near the stage 15 feet to her right. The wiry man she'd mentally labeled him Rat by the east exit 20 feet behind her. The 4th man silent until now, covering the main entrance 30 feet to her left. And Victor directly in front of her, 3 feet away. "Option 1, Maya said. "You leave, right now. Walk out those doors, get in whatever vehicle you came in, and drive away. I won't follow. I won't report. You disappear. I disappear, and everyone in this room goes home safely." And option 2. Option 2 is messier. Option 2 involves me taking that weapon from your holster, using it to neutralize your 3 men, and then spending the next several minutes making you wish you'd chosen option 1. Victor stared at her. Then he laughed. "You are bluffing." "Am I? You have no weapon. You are surrounded. Your daughter is in this room. You would not risk her safety." "You're right," Maya said. "I wouldn't risk her safety, which is why I'm giving you the chance to leave. Because if this turns into a fight, I will do things in front of these children that no child should ever see. And I really, really don't want to do that." The moment stretched. Victor's hand rested on his pistol. His eyes searched Maya's face, looking for weakness, for the bluff, for any sign that she was anything other than what she appeared to be, a young mother in a blue dress, trapped in a terrible situation. He found nothing. "You know what I think," Victor said finally. "I think you are liar. I think you found this coin, or stole it, or someone gave it to you. I think you are nobody, a scared little mouse pretending to be lion." "Maybe," Maya said, "or maybe you're making the biggest mistake of your life." Victor drew his pistol in one smooth motion and pressed it against Maya's forehead. Gasps from the crowd. A woman screamed. Elena's voice cut through everything. "Mommy!" Maya didn't flinch. "Last chance," Victor said. "Tell me truth. Now." Maya looked at him with absolutely no fear. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I served 6 deployments in the most dangerous places on Earth. I have more confirmed kills than most people have birthday candles. I watched my husband die in my arms in a country I'm not allowed to name. And for the past 3 years, I have done everything possible to leave that life behind to give my daughter something normal, something safe." She paused. But you know what, some monsters don't stop hunting you just because you stop hunting them. So here I am. Maya Torres, Phantom, Navy SEAL, and the woman who's going to end you if you don't lower that weapon in the next 5 seconds. Victor's finger tightened on the trigger. 5, Maya said. You are insane. 4, I will kill you. 3, you are bluffing. 2. Victor's hand trembled. For the first time, real doubt flickered in his eyes. 1. Victor didn't lower his weapon. Maya moved. Later witnesses would struggle to describe what they saw. Words like impossible and blur would come up repeatedly. One parent would say it was like watching water become lightning. Maya's left hand swept up, deflecting Victor's pistol toward the ceiling just as he pulled the trigger. The shot went wild, punching a hole in the gymnasium's acoustic tiles. Her right hand struck his throat with precision that came from years of training, disrupting his breathing, disrupting his balance. Before Victor could recover, Maya had stripped the pistol from his grip, rotated it, and driven the butt into his temple. He dropped. Total elapsed time: 1.4 seconds. 62 people in the gymnasium didn't understand what had just happened. 3 men with assault rifles understood perfectly. They opened fire. Bang. Maya was already moving. The blue dress billowed as she dove behind the nearest row of chairs, inadequate cover, but better than none. Bullets tore through the air where she'd been standing. Screams filled the gymnasium. Parents threw themselves over their children. Chaos. But chaos for someone trained to weaponize it was opportunity. Maya emerged from behind the chairs in a low sprint, zigzagging toward the nearest threat. Dmitri tried to track her, but she was moving too fast, using the panicked crowd for cover in ways that felt instinctive. She reached him before he could adjust his aim. A kick to his knee dropped his stance. Her elbow connected with his jaw. The rifle fell. Maya caught it, flipped it, used the stock as a club against the back of his head. Dmitri went down. The wiry man rat was smarter. He didn't try to shoot into the crowd. Instead, he made for the stage, heading toward the children. Heading toward Elena. Thunder. Maya's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. Elena, who had been standing frozen with terror among the other children, moved instantly. She dropped to her knees and crawled under the risers, disappearing into the shadows. The other children didn't understand, but they followed her lead. 23 small bodies scrambled for cover as Rat reached the stage. He found nothing but empty risers and frightened choir robes. Where? He never finished the sentence. Maya hit him from behind with a flying tackle that would have made a football player jealous. They went down together, crashing through a music stand. Maya landed on top, driving her knee into his solar plexus. His rifle clattered away. Maya pinned his arms with her knees, raised Victor's pistol, and pressed it against his forehead. Where's the 4th man? Go to hell! I've been there. Didn't like the food. She pressed harder. Where is he? Behind you. Maya spun, raising the pistol. The 4th man was 5 feet away, his rifle leveled at her head. At this distance, even she couldn't move fast enough. Drop it, he ordered. Maya hesitated. She could see Elena's hiding spot from here. If she died, Elena would be alone, orphaned, left to these monsters. She couldn't let that happen. Okay, she said, beginning to lower the weapon. Okay, The shot came from nowhere. The 4th man's weapon jerked sideways as a bullet struck his shoulder. He screamed and spun, giving Maya the opening she needed. She was on him in an instant, stripping the rifle, driving him to the ground. A knee to the face ended his resistance. Maya looked toward the source of the shot and saw something that made her heart stop. Marcus Webb, 83 years old Korean War veteran standing in the back of the gymnasium with a small revolver in his shaking hands. The gun he kept in his glove compartment, the one his wife always complained about. "That's for the 38th parallel," the old man said. "And for whatever the hell you did to earn that coin, young lady." The gymnasium was suddenly impossibly quiet. 4 men lay unconscious or disabled on the floor. Victor was starting to stir, groaning. The civilians were emerging from their hiding spots, shell-shocked, but alive. Parents reached for children. Spouses held each other. And Maya Torres stood in the center of it all, borrowed pistol still in her hand, chest, heaving blue dress torn and stained with someone else's blood. "Mommy!" Elena crawled out from under the risers. Her little face was streaked with tears, but her eyes were wide with something that wasn't quite fear. Maya dropped the pistol and ran to her daughter. "I'm here, baby. I'm here. You said Thunder and I hid just like we practiced. You did so good, Sunshine. So good." "Mommy," Elena's voice was small, confused. "Are you a superhero?" Maya held her daughter close, feeling the small heartbeat against her own, feeling the warmth of her body, the realness of her. "No, baby," she whispered. "I'm just a mom." But even as she said it, she knew everything had changed. The quiet life was over. The invisible woman had been seen. And somewhere in the back of the gymnasium, Victor was watching her with eyes that promised this wasn't finished. Not even close. Principal Martinez approached slowly, hands still raised. His face was pale, his voice unsteady. "Maya, who are you?" Before she could answer, the sound of approaching sirens filled the air. Blue and red lights began flashing through the gymnasium windows. Someone had called for help. Maya looked at the unconscious men, at the traumatized civilians, at her crying daughter, at the old veteran who'd saved her life with a 50-year-old revolver and an unsteady hand. She looked at the coin still lying on the floor, glinting under the harsh lights. And she thought about how long she'd run from this moment, how many names she'd used, how many towns she'd passed through. How hard she'd worked to be nobody. 3 years. 3 years of hiding. It ended tonight. "My name," she said quietly, "is Maya Torres, and I have a lot of explaining to do." The sirens grew louder. Maya counted 3, maybe 4 police vehicles approaching. Small town like Pine Ridge that was probably the entire department. Victor coughed and rolled onto his side. Blood trickled from the gash on his temple where Maya had struck him. His eyes found hers across the gymnasium floor. "This is not over," he said quietly. "You know this. Stay down. They will come for you. More of them. Better than us." "I said stay down." Victor laughed, a wet sound that made several parents pull their children closer. "You think hiding in small town makes you safe? You think changing name, working at school, playing mother, makes you invisible?" Maya's jaw tightened. "How did you find me?" "Does not matter. What matters is we found you. And if we found you, others will too." "Who sent you?" Victor smiled through bloody teeth. "You already know who." The gymnasium doors burst open. 4 police officers rushed in, weapons drawn, shouting commands that blurred together in the chaos. Maya raised her hands immediately, letting Victor's pistol clatter to the floor. "On the ground! Everyone on the ground! Officer, wait!" Principal Martinez stepped forward. She saved us. She's the one who... I said on the ground." Maya dropped to her knees, then flat on her stomach, hands behind her head. She'd been through this before. Compliance was survival. Elena screamed and tried to run to her mother, but Sarah Chen caught her, held her back. "Mommy, Mommy, it's okay, baby. It's okay. Do what the nice officers say." "But Mommy..." "Elena, listen to me." Maya's voice was calm, despite her position on the cold floor. "I need you to be brave. Can you do that for me?" Elena nodded, tears streaming down her face. "That's my girl." The next 20 minutes were controlled chaos. Officers secured the 4 unconscious men, called for ambulances, began taking statements from traumatized witnesses. Maya remained on the floor until a young deputy approached her cautiously. "Ma'am, you can get up now. We need to ask you some questions." Maya rose slowly. Her dress was ruined, her knees scraped from the floor. She looked nothing like the woman who had walked into this gymnasium 2 hours ago. She looked like what she was: a warrior. "Where's Sheriff Patterson?" she asked. "On his way." "How do you know the sheriff?" "I don't, but he's going to want to handle this personally." The deputy frowned. "Ma'am, what exactly happened here tonight?" Before Maya could answer, another voice cut through the noise. "I can tell you exactly what happened." Marcus Webb pushed through the crowd, still holding his revolver, which an officer immediately took from him. The old man didn't seem to notice. "This young woman just saved 63 lives. Single-handedly took down 4 armed men who were about to massacre everyone in this room." He pointed at Maya with a shaking finger. "I don't know who she is. I don't know where she learned to fight like that. But I know what I saw. And what I saw was a goddamn hero." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Parents who had cowered in fear looked at Maya with new eyes, some with gratitude, others with something closer to fear. Elena broke free from Sarah Chen and ran to her mother. Maya caught her, lifted her, held her so tight it was hard to tell where one ended and the other began. "I was so scared, Mommy." "I know, baby, I know. But you weren't scared. You weren't scared at all." Maya closed her eyes. "I was terrified, Sunshine. I was more scared than I've ever been in my life." "Then how did you do all that? Because being scared doesn't mean you can't be brave. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is be scared and do it anyway." Sheriff Tom Patterson arrived 12 minutes later. He was a big man, 6'2", with a gray mustache, and the weathered face of someone who'd spent 30 years keeping a small town safe. He took one look at the scene, and his expression shifted from confusion to something sharper. "Clear the room," he ordered. "Everyone except the suspects and the woman in the blue dress." "Sheriff, she's..." "I know what she is, Deputy. I got a call on the way over. Clear the room." Parents and children were ushered out through the main entrance. Elena clung to Maya, refusing to leave. "She stays with me," Maya said. It wasn't a request. Patterson studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "The child stays." When the gymnasium was empty, except for Maya Elena Patterson and his deputies, watching the restrained attackers, the sheriff pulled up a folding chair and sat down heavily. "Mind telling me why I just got a call from the Department of Defense asking me not to arrest you?" Maya didn't flinch. "It's complicated." "Uncomplicated." "I can't, not all of it, not here." Patterson leaned forward. "Lady, you just hospitalized 4 men in front of 60 witnesses. The way I hear it, you moved like something out of a movie. That kind of thing doesn't stay quiet. I'm going to have reporters here within the hour. So you better give me something, or I'm going to have to treat you like the suspect you appear to be." Maya looked at Elena, then back at the sheriff. "Can we speak privately? Anything you say to me, you can say in front of my deputies." "No, I really can't." Patterson's eyes narrowed. He jerked his head at his men. "Give us the room. Keep the suspect secured outside." When they were alone, Maya sat down across from the sheriff. Elena still in her lap. I was Navy, she said quietly. Special operations, the kind of work that doesn't get talked about in polite company. SEALs, Team 6, 8 years, 6 deployments. I was discharged 3 years ago after a mission went wrong. Very wrong. Patterson whistled low. That explains the fighting. Doesn't explain why 4 armed men just tried to take you in front of a room full of children. That mission I mentioned. We destroyed a weapons network. International arms dealers trafficking everything from assault rifles to chemical weapons. We thought we shut it down. Apparently we didn't. And these men, part of the network, or hired by what's left of it. Maya's voice hardened. They've been hunting me for 3 years. I've been running for 3 years. I thought I was far enough, hidden deep enough. You thought wrong. Clearly. Patterson rubbed his face with both hands. What do you need from me? Time. My people are already on their way. They'll take the prisoners, handle the cleanup, make sure this doesn't become a national news story. Your people who owe me favors, people who want to find these arms dealers as badly as I do. And if I don't cooperate? Maya met his eyes. Sheriff, you seem like a good man. I'm not going to threaten you. I'm going to be honest. If this story gets out, if my face ends up on the news, more people will come. More people will die. Not just me, not just Elena. Everyone in this town who might know something about me. The woman I work with at the school, the family across the street, the old man who shot one of them to save my life. She paused. I'm not asking you to break the law. I'm asking you to save lives. Patterson was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood. I'm going to step outside and make some calls. When I come back, I expect more answers. You'll have them. The sheriff walked out, leaving Maya alone with her daughter in the empty gymnasium. The silence was deafening. Mommy. Elena's voice was small. Yes, baby. Are we going to have to move again? The question hit Maya like a physical blow. Again. Elena remembered. She'd only been 3 the last time, but she remembered. I don't know, Sunshine. Maybe. I don't want to move. I like my school. I like my friends. I like our house. I know. I know you do. Can't you make the bad men go away forever? Maya closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the question. Could she? The answer was yes. She had the skills. She had the training. She had contacts in the intelligence community who would help her disappear the remaining members of the network one by one. But that would mean becoming Phantom again. That would mean leaving Elena for weeks, maybe months at a time. That would mean becoming the thing she'd sworn she'd never be again. I'm going to try, baby. I'm going to try. 45 minutes later, a black SUV pulled into the elementary school parking lot. Maya watched from the gymnasium window as a man in a dark suit stepped out. Even from a distance, she recognized him. Captain James Rodriguez, her former commanding officer. The man who'd helped fake her death and create her new identity. The man who'd promised she'd never have to fight again. He entered the gymnasium alone. He looked older than she remembered, more gray in his hair, more lines around his eyes. 3 years of stress showed on his face. Phantom. Don't call me that. Not here. Rodriguez glanced at Elena, who had fallen asleep against her mother's chest, exhausted from crying. She's gotten so big. She was 3 the last time you saw her. I remember. He paused. I'm sorry, Maya. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't change anything. No. It doesn't. Rodriguez sat down, keeping his voice low to avoid waking Elena. We have a problem. I noticed. Bigger than tonight. The network we thought we destroyed, it's not just back. It's evolved. New leadership, new resources, new reach. Who's running it now? Rodriguez hesitated. That's the part you're not going to like. Tell me. Alexandra Cross. Maya went very still. That's impossible. Cross died in Yemen. I saw the body. You saw a body. Turns out it wasn't hers. She was CIA. She was on our side. She was never on our side. She was the mole, Maya. She's the one who betrayed the team. She's the one who gave up our position. She's the reason... Rodriguez stopped. She's the reason Daniel is dead. Yes. Maya's husband. Elena's father. The man who'd died in her arms on a rooftop in Sana'a, while their extraction helicopter burned on the ground below. Killed by a woman she'd trusted. A woman she'd fought beside. A woman who was supposed to be a friend. Where is she now? We don't know. She went underground after Yemen, built the network back up from scratch, better than before. International reach, government contacts on 4 continents. And tonight, these men, they were expendable, meant to confirm your location and report back. Cross didn't expect them to actually capture you. Then she underestimated me. She won't make that mistake twice. Elena stirred in Maya's arms, her eyes fluttering open. Mommy, who's that man? An old friend, baby. Go back to sleep. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Rodriguez smiled sadly. I'm trying to be a good guy, sweetheart. Elena studied him with the unnerving perception of a child. You look sad. I am sad, but seeing you and your mommy safe makes me feel better. Elena seemed to accept this. Her eyes closed again, and within moments she was asleep. Maya looked at Rodriguez. What do you want from me? I want to keep you safe. I want to keep her safe. He nodded at Elena. I have resources. I can relocate you again deeper this time. New name, new town, new life. And run forever. Keep looking over my shoulder until Elena's old enough to understand that her entire life has been a lie. The alternative is worse. The alternative is fighting back. Rodriguez shook his head. You're one person, Maya. The network has hundreds of operatives, billions of dollars in resources connections to governments and intelligence agencies worldwide. You can't fight that alone. Then I won't fight alone. What do you mean? Maya stood carefully adjusting Elena's sleeping form. After Yemen, after Daniel, I thought the team was dead. I mourned them. I moved on. But 3 weeks ago, a man named Blake Carter told me something interesting. Rodriguez's expression shifted. What did he tell you? He told me he saw Kai Vandal in Syria in 2022, very much alive. Very much working off the books. Maya. Are they alive, James? Is my team alive? Rodriguez said nothing. Answer me. I can't. You owe me. Maya's voice rose, then dropped again as Elena stirred. You owe me the truth. After everything I gave, after everything I lost. Are they alive? The silence stretched between them. Finally, Rodriguez spoke. Yes. Maya felt the word like a punch to the chest. All of them. 4 of the 6. Jackson Morrison, Amara Okonkwo, Marcus Huang, Diego Ramirez. And they let me think they were dead for 3 years. It wasn't their choice. After Yemen, the whole unit was burned. Assets compromised, identities exposed. The only way to protect everyone was to make the world think you were all dead. But I wasn't. I got out. You were injured, discharged. You had Elena to think about. The others... Rodriguez paused. The others had nothing left but the fight. Where are they now? Scattered, living under assumed names like you, but still connected, still working together when necessary. Doing what? Whatever needs to be done, off the books, no oversight, no rules. Maya processed this. Her team, her family, the people she'd trained with, fought with, bled with. Alive, working in the shadows. And they'd never told her. I need to see them. Maya, I don't think that's... I wasn't asking permission. Rodriguez studied her face. Whatever he saw there made him reach into his pocket and pull out a phone. This has one number programmed. When you call it, someone will answer. They'll tell you where to meet. Maya took the phone. How do I know this isn't a trap? You don't, but you know me. And you know I would never do anything to put Elena at risk. 3 years ago, I would have believed that without question. Now, Maya shook her head. I don't trust anyone anymore. That's probably wise. Rodriguez stood. The prisoners are being transported to a federal facility. The witnesses have been asked to sign NDAs. Sheriff Patterson is cooperating. As far as the public knows, tonight was an attempted robbery that was foiled by an off-duty security guard. And the people who were there, the parents who saw what I did, people believe what they want to believe. By tomorrow, the story will already be changing. By next week, half of them will convince themselves they didn't see what they saw. And the other half, Rodriguez smiled grimly, the other half will spend the rest of their lives wondering who you really are. But they'll never know for sure. And uncertainty is safer than truth. He walked toward the door, then paused. Maya, whatever you decide to do next, be careful. Cross isn't like the enemies you've faced before. She's not driven by ideology or profit. She's driven by something more dangerous. What? Revenge. She blames you personally for destroying her original network, for killing people she cared about. This isn't just business for her. It's personal. Then we have something in common. Rodriguez left without another word. Maya stood alone in the empty gymnasium, her sleeping daughter in her arms, the weight of the world on her shoulders. She looked at the phone in her hand. One call, one number, one choice that would change everything. She could run, disappear again, find another small town, another invisible life, another few years of borrowed peace. Or she could fight. Find her team. Find Cross. End this once and for all. Elena murmured in her sleep. Mommy, stay. Maya kissed her daughter's forehead. I'm not going anywhere, baby. I promise. But even as she said the words, she knew they might not be true. Because the woman who had killed her husband was still out there. Still hunting. Still winning. And Maya Torres had never been very good at letting the bad guys win. Maya made the call at 3:47 a.m. Elena was finally asleep in her own bed, exhausted from the terror of the night. Marcus Webb had insisted on standing guard outside their apartment, his old revolver reloaded and ready. Maya had tried to argue, but the 83-year-old veteran was stubborn. I didn't survive Korea to let some Russian thugs hurt a child, he'd said. You do what you need to do. I'll keep watch. So Maya sat alone in her kitchen, staring at the phone Rodriguez had given her. One number, one call, one choice. She pressed dial. 3 rings. Then a voice she hadn't heard in 3 years. Phantom. Maya's throat tightened. Bear. Jackson Morrison. Call sign Bear. 6'5", 260 pounds of muscle and loyalty. The man who'd carried her 3 miles through hostile territory after an IED took out their vehicle. The man she'd thought was dead. Jesus Christ. His voice cracked. Maya, it's really you. You're alive. So are you. Rodriguez told us, but I didn't. I couldn't. 3 years, Jackson. 3 years I thought you were all dead. I know. God, I know. We wanted to tell you. Every day we wanted to reach out. But orders were, screw orders. You were my family. Silence on the line. Then, we still are. Maya closed her eyes. Where are you? Closer than you think. We all are. When Rodriguez called, we mobilized immediately. Amara's 40 minutes south of your position. Marcus is in Denver. Diego's been running a clinic 2 towns over for the past 6 months. Diego's been that close this whole time. We take turns. Someone's always within striking distance of you and Elena, just in case. The revelation hit Maya like a wave. You've been watching us, protecting you. There's a difference. I didn't need protection. Tonight suggests otherwise. Maya wanted to argue, but she couldn't. He was right. Without Marcus Webb's intervention, without that lucky shot from an old man's shaking hands, she might not have survived. We need to meet, she said. Already arranged. There's a cabin off Highway 9 about 20 miles north of Pine Ridge. Belonged to one of Diego's patients who died last year. No connection to any of us. Can you get there by sunrise? Elena. Sarah Chen offered to watch her. Rodriguez cleared it. She'll be safe. Maya hesitated. Leaving Elena even for a few hours felt impossible after tonight. Maya. Bear's voice softened. I know what you're thinking. But you can't protect her if Cross gets to you first. We need to plan. We need to coordinate. We need to end this. Since when did you become the strategist? Since you left, and someone had to step up. Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. Sunrise, Highway 9. I'll be there. Copy that, Phantom. And Maya. Yeah, it's good to hear your voice again. We missed you. All of us. The line went dead. Maya sat in the darkness for a long moment, processing. Her team was alive. They'd been watching over her for 3 years. And now finally they were coming home. She checked on Elena one more time, kissed her sleeping daughter's forehead, and began preparing for the meeting that would change everything. The cabin was exactly where Bear had said it would be. Maya arrived at 5:52 a.m., 8 minutes before sunrise. She'd taken a circuitous route, doubling back twice, watching for tails. Old habits. A pickup truck was already parked outside. Colorado plates. Nothing distinctive. Maya approached the door, with her hand on the pistol she'd retrieved from her hidden cache at home. She hadn't held a weapon in 3 years. It felt like coming home. The door opened before she could knock. And there he was. Jackson Morrison looked older, harder. His hair was shorter than she remembered, flecked with gray despite being only 32. But his eyes were the same. Warm. Loyal. The eyes of a brother. Phantom. Bear. He pulled her into a hug so tight it squeezed the air from her lungs. Maya let herself be held just for a moment. Just long enough to remember what it felt like to have someone at her back. You look good, he said, pulling back to study her face. Civilian life suits you. It suited me, past tense. Yeah, I heard about last night. 4 hostiles all neutralized in under 2 minutes. Not bad for a retired teacher's aide. I had help. An 83-year-old Korean war vet with a revolver. Bear laughed. That's the most SEAL thing I've ever heard. Come on. The others are inside. The cabin's main room was small but functional, and sitting around a worn wooden table were faces Maya had mourned for 3 years. Amara Okonkwo, Call sign Viper. The best sniper Maya had ever worked with. Still beautiful, still deadly, with the same quiet intensity that had made her legendary in the teams. Marcus Huang. Call sign Tech. Their communications specialist. Smaller than the others, but twice as smart. He'd once hacked into a Chinese military satellite using a laptop and a cell phone. Diego Ramirez. Call sign Shadow. The team medic. Gentle hands that could heal or kill with equal precision. He looked tired, older than his 31 years. 4 faces. 4 ghosts. 4 pieces of a family she'd thought was lost forever. Maya. Amara stood first, crossing the room in 3 long strides. Her hug was different from Bear's, shorter, fiercer, communicating everything without words. We thought we'd never see you again. The feeling was mutual. Marcus was next, adjusting his glasses nervously, before pulling her into an awkward embrace. I monitored your location every day, every single day. Wanted to make sure you were okay. Stalker. Guardian. There's a difference. Diego hung back, waiting until the others had finished. When he finally approached, his eyes were wet. Elena looks just like Daniel, he said quietly. I've watched her grow up from a distance. She has his smile. Maya's throat tightened. She has his stubbornness, too. That she gets from you. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of 3 years and 1 dead man hanging between them. Then Diego hugged her, and Maya felt something release in her chest, something she'd been holding on to since Yemen. Okay, Bear said, breaking the moment with his usual practicality. We've got a lot to discuss and not much time. Maya, take a seat. We need to bring you up to speed. They gathered around the table. Tech pulled out a laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. Alexandra Cross, he said, projecting an image onto the wall. Former CIA operations officer, recruited out of Yale, fast-tracked through the agency assigned to Special Activities Division in 2015. Officially died in the Yemen operation in 2022. Maya stared at the photo. Cross was attractive, mid-30s, with short dark hair and intelligent eyes. The face of a traitor. She was the mole, Maya said. She's the reason Daniel died. She's the reason a lot of people died, Viper added. After Yemen, she went underground, rebuilt the weapons network from scratch, better than before. How much better? Tech pulled up more data. The original network moved maybe $200 million in arms annually. Cross's operation. We're looking at $2 billion, maybe more. She's got buyers on every continent, sellers in every conflict zone, government contacts that go all the way to the top. And she's hunting me because you destroyed her once, Bear said. And she's afraid you'll do it again. She should be afraid. That's what we're counting on. Viper leaned forward. Here's what we know. Cross has a meeting scheduled in 72 hours. Denver. She's finalizing a deal that'll put advanced weapons systems in the hands of a Central African militia. We're talking drones-guided missiles, the kind of hardware that could destabilize an entire region. How do you know this? Because I've spent 18 months working my way into her organization, Diego said quietly. She thinks I'm a corrupt doctor, looking to make money selling medical supplies to conflict zones. I've been feeding us intel ever since. Maya stared at him. You've been undercover for 18 months. Someone had to get close to her. You could have been killed. So could you. Every day for 3 years. At least I knew what I was walking into. The weight of what they'd done for her, what they'd risked, settled over Maya like a blanket. 3 years of thinking she was alone. 3 years of thinking she was the only one carrying this burden. And the whole time her team had been fighting the same war from different angles. What's the plan? She asked. Bear pulled out a map. The meeting is at a warehouse in the industrial district. Cross will be there personally. She always handles the big deals herself. Diego will be inside as part of her security detail. Viper will be on overwatch covering the exits. Tech will handle communications and electronic warfare. And us, you and me go in through the front door. That's suicide. That's the point. Cross is obsessed with you. If she knows you're coming for her, she won't run. She'll stay and fight. You want to use me as bait. I want to use you as a weapon. There's a difference. Maya studied the map, her tactical mind already analyzing approaches, calculating risks. What about Elena? Sarah Chen has agreed to take her out of state until this is over. Rodriguez is arranging protective custody through channels that Cross can't trace. I don't like putting her in someone else's hands. Neither do we. But you can't fight a war and protect a child at the same time. You know that. Maya did know. That was the whole reason she'd left the teams in the first place. But leaving had just postponed the inevitable. The war had found her anyway. If anything happens to her, nothing will happen to her, Viper said firmly. I've personally vetted every person who'll be within a mile of that child. Anyone tries to touch her, they die. Simple as that. Cross has resources. Cross has resources, but she doesn't have us. And she definitely doesn't have a mother who just took down 4 of her men with her bare hands in front of 60 witnesses. Viper's eyes met Maya's. You scared her last night, Maya. For the first time since Yemen, Alexandra Cross is scared. We need to capitalize on that. Tech's laptop beeped. He frowned, fingers flying across the keyboard. We've got a problem. What kind of problem? Cross just moved up her timeline. The meeting's not in 72 hours. It's in 24. The room went silent. She knows, Bear said quietly. She knows we're coming. How? Maya demanded. Who else knew about this meeting? No one. Just us and Rodriguez. Then we have another mole. Tech was already working. I'm running diagnostics on all our communication channels. If there's a leak, I'll find it. We don't have time for diagnostics, Viper said. If the meeting's in 24 hours, we need to move now. Move where we don't even know if the location's changed. It hasn't, Diego said, checking his phone. I just got a message from Cross's security chief. Same warehouse. They're just accelerating the schedule. Why would she keep the location but move up the time? Maya's blood went cold as the answer hit her. Because it's a trap. She's not running. She's setting up an ambush. Then we don't go. No, we go anyway. Everyone looked at Maya. Think about it, she said. Cross expects us to figure out it's a trap. She expects us to back off, regroup, try again later. That's what professionals would do. That's what the old Ghost unit would have done. So what do we do instead? We spring the trap, on our terms. Bear shook his head. That's insane. That's unpredictable. And right now, unpredictable is the only advantage we have. The team exchanged looks. 3 years ago, they would have followed Maya into hell without question. But 3 years was a long time. They'd grown. Changed. Become their own leaders. She's right, Viper said finally. Cross is expecting us to be smart. Let's be crazy instead. Define crazy, Tech said nervously. We go in loud, no stealth, no subtlety. We make so much noise that Cross has to respond. While she's dealing with us, Diego gets her alone. And then we end this, one way or another. Diego spoke up for the first time in minutes. There's something else you should know. Something I've been waiting to confirm before telling you. What? Cross has been talking about a special project, something she's been working on for months. She calls it Phoenix. What is it? I don't know the details, but I know it involves children. She's been recruiting kids from conflict zones, orphans mostly, training them for something. Maya's hands clenched into fists. Training them for what? That's what I've been trying to find out. But whatever it is, it's happening soon. The deal in Denver, it's connected. The weapons she's selling aren't for a militia. They're for Phoenix. The revelation hung in the air like poison gas. She's building a child army, Bear said the words, tasting like ash. Or something worse, Tech added. Child soldiers are one thing, but Cross doesn't think small. Whatever Phoenix is, it's bigger than just fighters. Maya stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. 3 years of running. 3 years of hiding. 3 years of telling herself that Elena was all that mattered, that the world's problems weren't her responsibility anymore. But children like Elena, being turned into weapons by a woman who had already taken everything from her. I'm in, Maya said. Whatever the plan is, whatever the risks, I'm in. Maya, she killed my husband. She's been hunting my daughter. And now she's trafficking children for God knows what purpose. Maya's voice was steady, but her eyes burned with something that made even Bear take a step back. This ends. In 24 hours. This ends. Viper smiled grimly. There's the Phantom, I remember. Phantom died in Yemen, Maya said. But she's about to come back. And she's bringing hell with her. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Maya answered. Who is this? Hello, Maya. The voice made her blood freeze. Feminine, cultured, familiar. I've been waiting a long time to have this conversation, Alexandra Cross said. How did you get this number? The same way I knew you'd survive last night. The same way I've known where you were for the past 6 months. Cross paused. Did you really think I didn't know about Pine Ridge, about the elementary school, about that adorable apartment on Maple Street? Maya's grip on the phone tightened until her knuckles went white. The team crowded around her trying to hear. If you touch my daughter. I have no interest in your daughter, not yet. Right now I'm interested in you. What do you want? What I've always wanted. A conversation, face to face, without your attack dogs listening in. I don't negotiate with murderers. Is that what you think I am? A murderer? Cross laughed softly. Maya, you and I have the same kill count. Probably I have fewer, actually. The only difference is who we killed and why. You killed Daniel. Daniel was collateral damage. Unfortunate but necessary. He was getting too close to the truth. What truth? The truth about who really runs the world. About what your precious Navy was really doing in Yemen. About why your entire team had to be erased from existence. Cross's voice hardened. You think I'm the villain. You have no idea what you were working for. No idea what you helped cover up. You're lying. Am I? Ask your friend Rodriguez. Ask him about Operation Blackwater. Ask him what really happened to the weapons your team was sent to destroy. Then ask yourself why the Navy declared you all dead the moment the mission went sideways. Maya's mind raced. Cross was a manipulator. Everything she said was calculated to confuse, to divide, to weaken. But there was something in her voice. Something that sounded almost like truth. Meet me, Cross said. Tonight. Alone. I'll tell you everything. And then you can decide for yourself who the real enemy is. Why would I trust anything you say? Because I have something you want. Something more valuable than revenge. What? Proof of what I'm telling you. Documents, recordings, everything you need to understand why your husband really died. Cross paused. I didn't kill Daniel, Maya. The Navy did. I just didn't stop them. The line went dead. Maya stared at the phone, her heart pounding. "What did she say?" Bear demanded. "She wants to meet, tonight. She says she has proof that the Navy killed Daniel, that we were set up from the beginning. It's a trap, obviously. So we don't go." "No." Maya looked at her team, her family, the only people in the world she trusted completely. "I go. Alone. Just like she asked." "Absolutely not. She has information. Even if it's partial, even if it's twisted, there might be something useful, something we can use against her. Or she kills you the moment you show up. Then you'll know where to find her." Bear grabbed her shoulders. "Maya, stop. Think about Elena. Think about what happens to her if you don't come back from this." "I am thinking about Elena. I'm thinking about what kind of world she grows up in if Cross succeeds. I'm thinking about those children in Phoenix, whatever that means. I'm thinking about every family that gets destroyed because I was too scared to take a risk. This isn't about fear. This is about being smart. Smart got Daniel killed. Smart kept me running for 3 years. Smart means Cross wins." Maya pulled away from Bear's grip. "I'm done being smart. I'm ready to be dangerous." She headed for the door. "Maya?" She stopped, hand on the handle. "At least let us provide backup. Viper on Overwatch. Tech on comms. Something." Maya considered it, then nodded. "Fine, but you stay invisible. If Cross sees anyone else, she disappears, and we lose our only chance to end this. Understood?" Maya opened the door, then paused. "If I don't come back, make sure Elena knows I loved her. More than anything. More than my own life." "You'll tell her yourself," Bear said firmly. "Because you're coming back. That's an order." "You can't give me orders anymore. I'm retired." "Then consider it a request. From your family." Maya looked back at them. 4 people who'd risked everything to protect her. 4 people who'd never stopped fighting even when she'd tried to stop herself. "I'll see you on the other side," she said. And she walked out into the dawn toward a meeting with the woman who had destroyed her life. Toward the truth. Toward war. The meeting location was an abandoned church on the outskirts of Denver. Maya arrived at 9 p.m., exactly when Cross had specified in her follow-up text. The irony wasn't lost on her. A place of sanctuary turned into a battlefield. "Viper, you in position," Maya whispered into her earpiece. 300 meters south. I've got eyes on the main entrance and both side doors. No movement so far. Tech, reading you loud and clear. I've got satellite coverage and thermal imaging. The building shows 1 heat signature inside. Looks like Cross came alone. Or she's got people who know how to mask their signatures. Also possible. Stay sharp." Maya approached the front door. Her hand rested on the pistol at her hip, but she didn't draw it. Not yet. Cross had asked for a conversation. Maya would give her one, right up until the moment she put a bullet in her head. The door was unlocked. Maya pushed it open and stepped inside. Cross was waiting in what had once been the main sanctuary. She stood near the altar hands, visible no weapons in sight. She wore a simple black dress and heels, looking more like a corporate executive than an international arms dealer. "You came," Cross said. "I wasn't sure you would. I'm here for answers, not small talk. Straight to business. I always admired that about you, Maya. No games, no politics, just action." Cross smiled. "Please come closer. I promise I'm not armed. Forgive me if I don't take your word for it." "Fair enough. But if I wanted you dead, you would have been dead long before tonight. The men I sent to that school weren't meant to kill you. They were meant to confirm your location and flush you out of hiding. They threatened my daughter. They exceeded their orders. A mistake they paid for quite severely from what I understand. Maya moved closer, keeping her hand near her weapon. You said you have proof. About Daniel. About Yemen. I do. But first I want you to understand something. Cross reached into her pocket, slowly pulling out a small flash drive. Everything you think you know about that mission is wrong. Everything you think you know about me is wrong. You were the mole. You betrayed us. I was the scapegoat. There's a difference. Cross set the flash drive on a broken pew between them. The real mole was much higher up the chain. Someone with enough power to rewrite history to declare an entire SEAL team dead to create new identities for some, while hunting others into extinction. Who? Admiral James Morrison. Maya's heart stopped. That's impossible. Morrison was our commanding officer. He authorized every mission we ever ran. Exactly. He knew every detail of every operation. He knew where your team would be when you would be there, and what you were carrying. Cross's eyes never left Maya's. The weapons you were sent to destroy in Yemen. They were never meant to be destroyed. They were meant to be redirected, sold to the highest bidder through a network Morrison had been building for years. You're lying. Am I? Think about it, Maya. Think about how the ambush happened. Think about how the enemy knew exactly where your extraction point would be. Think about how Daniel died. Maya's hands were shaking now, not from fear, from rage. Daniel died because someone leaked our position. Daniel died because he figured out the truth. 2 days before the mission, he came to me with evidence. Bank transfers, encrypted communications shell companies. He was going to expose Morrison to the Joint Chiefs. And you killed him to protect your partner. I tried to save him. Cross's composure cracked for the first time. I told him to wait to gather more evidence to let me handle Morrison from the inside. But Daniel was like you, impatient, righteous. He confronted Morrison directly. You're saying Morrison ordered the hit on his own team. I'm saying Morrison decided that 6 dead SEALs were an acceptable price for a $2 billion weapons empire. He sold you out, Maya, all of you. And then he pinned the blame on me. Maya stared at Cross, searching for the lie, the manipulation, the angle. But all she saw was a woman who looked exhausted, haunted, not the monster she'd been hunting for 3 years. The flash drive, Cross said. Everything I'm telling you is on there. Bank records, communications, Morrison's signature on documents that should never have existed. I've spent 3 years gathering this evidence. 3 years preparing for this moment. Why tell me any of this? Because I need your help. Maya almost laughed. You need my help. You've been hunting me for 3 years. I've been protecting you for 3 years. The men who came to your school, they weren't mine. They were Morrison's. He's been trying to eliminate you since Yemen. I've been running interference, feeding him false information, keeping him 1 step behind. That doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense when you understand what Morrison fears. He's not afraid of me. I'm a ghost, a convenient scapegoat. He's afraid of you, of your team, of what happens if you ever figure out the truth and decide to come for him. Maya's earpiece crackled. Maya, we've got movement. 3 vehicles approaching from the north. Texts saying at least 12 hostiles. Cross heard it too. Her expression shifted. That's not mine. Then whose is it? Morrison's. He must have tracked one of us here. Cross moved toward a side door. We need to go, now. I'm not going anywhere with you. Then you die here and Morrison wins. Your choice. The front doors exploded inward. Gunfire erupted. Maya dove behind a pillar as bullets chewed through the space where she'd been standing. Contact, contact, Viper's voice in her ear. I'm engaging, but there are too many. You need to extract now. Maya returned fire, dropping 2 of the attackers before they could take cover. Cross had produced a weapon from somewhere and was firing from the opposite side of the sanctuary. "Back door," Cross shouted. "There's a tunnel in the basement. Old Prohibition smuggling route. It'll take us to the street." "How do I know this isn't a trap? If I wanted you dead, I'd let these men do it for me." More attackers poured through the entrance. Maya's magazine ran dry. She ejected it, slammed in a fresh one, and kept firing. "Maya, go!" Viper's voice was urgent. "I'll cover you. Get to that tunnel." Maya made a split-second decision. She broke from cover and sprinted toward Cross, who was already disappearing through a door near the altar. Bullets snapped past her head close enough to feel the wind of their passage. She made it through the door and found stairs leading down. Cross was already halfway to the bottom. "Move!" Cross shouted. Maya followed, taking the stairs 3 at a time. Behind her, she heard the attackers reaching the door, their shouts echoing in the stairwell. The basement was dark, cluttered with old furniture and forgotten relics. Cross moved with practiced efficiency, navigating to a section of wall that looked no different from the rest. She pressed something, and a panel slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel. "After you," Maya said, pistol trained on Cross's back. "Smart girl." Cross ducked into the tunnel. Maya followed, pulling the panel closed behind them. The tunnel was barely wide enough for one person. They moved in single file, Cross leading Maya's weapon, never wavering from the back of her head. "You know," Cross said as they ran, "I didn't expect you to trust me." "I don't trust you. I'm just not ready to die yet." "Good enough for now." The tunnel stretched for what felt like forever. Finally, Cross pushed open another panel, and they emerged into an alley behind a row of warehouses. "My car is 2 blocks east," Cross said. "We can freeze." Maya spun. 3 men had appeared at the mouth of the alley, weapons raised. Morrison's men. Cross reacted faster than Maya expected. She drew a second weapon and fired 3 times in rapid succession. All 3 men dropped. "You're welcome," Cross said. "Now can we please get moving?" They ran. Maya's legs burned, her lungs ached, but she pushed through. 3 years of civilian life had softened her. She made a mental note to start training again, if she survived. Cross's car was where she'd said it would be. A black sedan, nothing memorable. They piled in, Cross behind the wheel. The engine roared to life, and they tore out of the parking lot just as more headlights appeared behind them. "They're following us," Maya said, checking the mirror. "I know, hold on." Cross drove like a professional. Tight turns, sudden accelerations, using the Denver streets like a maze. Maya watched their pursuers fall back one by one, unable to match Cross's skill. "Where did you learn to drive like this?" "Same place you learned to shoot like that. The agency has excellent training programs." They drove in tense silence for several minutes. Finally, Cross pulled into an underground parking structure and cut the engine. "We need to talk," she said. "Really talk, without bullets flying. Start with Morrison. If he's really the mole, why is he still in power? Because he's brilliant. Because he covered his tracks perfectly. Because the evidence Daniel found was destroyed in the Yemen explosion. I've spent 3 years reconstructing it piece by piece. And what do you want me to do about it? I want you to help me take him down. Not just expose him, destroy him. His network, his assets, his power, all of it. Why me? You've got resources. You've got contacts. You don't need a retired SEAL playing teacher's aide. I need someone he's afraid of. And whether you believe it or not, Admiral James Morrison is terrified of you, Maya. He's terrified of what you represent. What do I represent? The truth. You're the only person alive who was in that room when Daniel figured it out. You're the only person who can confirm what really happened, and you're the only person with enough credibility to make the world believe it. Maya's earpiece crackled. Maya, do you copy? We lost your signal in the tunnel. Are you okay? She pressed the transmit button. I'm okay. I'm with Cross. Stand down and regroup. I'll contact you soon. Maya, you can't trust her. I know, but I need to hear what she has to say. Give me 2 hours. If you don't hear from me by midnight, assume the worst and proceed without me. Static. Then Bear's voice tight with frustration. Copy that. 2 hours. Don't make me come find you. Maya turned back to Cross. 2 hours. Talk. Cross nodded. She pulled out a laptop and opened a series of files. Documents, photographs, audio recordings. Evidence that painted a picture Maya didn't want to believe but couldn't ignore. Admiral James Morrison had been running an illegal weapons operation for over a decade. He'd used SEAL teams as unwitting couriers, sending them on missions that served his private agenda rather than national security. When teams got too close to the truth, they were eliminated. Accidents, ambushes, convenient deaths that never raised suspicion. Ghost Unit 7 wasn't the first team Morrison had sacrificed. They were the 7th. These other units, Maya said, her voice hollow. Did any of them survive? A few members here and there. Most were killed. The survivors were either silenced or so traumatized they couldn't threaten him. Why did we survive? Why didn't he finish us off in Yemen? Because of me. I falsified the after-action report. I told Morrison all 6 of you were confirmed dead. He believed it because he wanted to believe it. Cleaning up loose ends is expensive and risky. So you saved us. I bought you time. But Morrison's been getting suspicious. That's why he sent those men to the school. He needed to confirm you were still alive before ordering a proper hit. Maya stared at the evidence on the laptop screen. 3 years of her life had been built on a lie. She'd blamed Cross for Daniel's death. She'd blamed herself for not being good enough, fast enough, smart enough to save him. But the real killer was still out there. Still in power. Still wearing the uniform of an American hero. The flash drive I gave you, Cross said. It has everything. Enough to bring Morrison down, enough to expose the entire operation. But I can't do it alone. I'm a ghost. Remember, nobody will believe me. But you're different. You're a decorated veteran with a spotless record. If you come forward with this evidence, they'll have to listen. And what happens to you? I disappear. Again, it's what I'm good at. After everything you've done, the weapons you've sold the people who died because of your network. Cross's expression hardened. My network keeps weapons out of Morrison's hands. Every deal I've made has been to undercut his operation, to starve his supply chain, to make him weaker. I'm not a saint, Maya. I've done terrible things, but I've done them in service of destroying him. The ends justify the means. In this case, yes. Cross met her eyes. You can hate me. You probably should. But right now, I'm the only ally you have who knows Morrison's operation from the inside. Use me. Then when it's over, you can put a bullet in me yourself if it makes you feel better. Maya's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Maya Torres. The voice was male, authoritative, familiar. Or should I call you Phantom? Her blood turned to ice. Morrison. I'm impressed you figured it out. Most people never do. Where are you? Close enough. I wanted to call and offer you a deal before this gets any messier than it already is. What kind of deal? Walk away. Take your daughter and disappear. I'll provide new identities, enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your lives. In exchange, you forget everything Cross told you. You forget Yemen. You forget Daniel. You're asking me to let you get away with murder. I'm asking you to be practical. You can't win this, Maya. I have resources you can't imagine. Political connections that go all the way to the White House. Military assets at my disposal. You're one woman with a handful of burned operators and a traitor who's been lying to you for 3 years. Cross saved our lives in Yemen. Cross is a sociopath who manipulates everyone around her. Whatever she told you tonight, I guarantee she left out the parts that make her look bad. Maya glanced at Cross, who was listening with a carefully neutral expression. "Here's my counteroffer," Maya said. "Turn yourself in. Face justice for what you've done. Maybe you'll get a cell with a window." Morrison laughed. "I expected that. Just like I expected you to meet with Cross tonight. Just like I expect you to try something stupid in the next few days." His voice hardened. "But here's what you didn't expect. I know where your daughter is." Maya's heart stopped. "Sarah Chen's apartment, 3rd floor. Elena is asleep in the 2nd bedroom. There are 2 guards outside and 1 in the living room. My men are in position. 1 phone call, Maya. That's all it takes. If you touch her..." "I don't want to touch her. I want you to be reasonable. Walk away. Forget this crusade. Let me continue my work in peace and Elena grows up safe and happy." "How do I know you won't come after us anyway?" "You don't. But you know what happens if you refuse. Think about it, Maya. Is revenge worth your daughter's life?" The line went dead. Maya was already dialing. Bear answered on the first ring. "Morrison knows where Elena is. Chen's apartment. He has men in position. We're on our way. ETA 15 minutes. Make it 10. She turned to Cross. "You're driving." They tore out of the parking structure, Cross pushing the sedan to its limits. Maya's mind raced, calculating scenarios, trying to find an angle that didn't end with Elena in a body bag. "He's bluffing," Cross said. "Morrison doesn't kill children. It's bad for business." "You don't know that." "I know him better than anyone. He uses threats to control people. He rarely follows through. Rarely isn't never." Cross didn't have an answer for that. Maya's phone buzzed again. Text from Tech. "Accessing Chen's building security. Thermal shows 3 hostiles, plus 2 friendlies inside. Elena appears to be sleeping. Thank God. She was still alive." Another text, Bear and Viper approaching from the north. Diego coming from the south. "We'll hit them simultaneously." Maya typed back, "I'm 10 minutes out. Don't engage until I arrive." "Negative. No time. Morrison could give the order any second." "We move in 5. Maya wanted to argue, but she knew Bear was right. Every second of delay was a second Morrison could use to hurt Elena. "Drive faster," she told Cross. They covered the distance in 8 minutes. Maya was out of the car before it fully stopped sprinting toward the apartment building. She could hear gunfire from inside. She was too late. The assault had already begun. She burst through the front door to find chaos. 2 of Morrison's men were down in the lobby. A third was exchanging fire with someone on the stairs. Maya put 2 rounds in his back and kept moving. 2nd floor. More gunfire. She found Diego crouched behind a wall, bleeding from a wound in his shoulder. "Elena." "Bear and Viper went up. I'm covering the rear." "How bad are you hit?" "I'll live. Go." Maya took the stairs 3 at a time. 3rd floor. The door to Chen's apartment was open, hanging off its hinges. She went through low and fast, weapon up. Sarah Chen was on the floor, unconscious but breathing. One of Morrison's men lay dead beside her Viper's knife, still buried in his throat. Another was zip-tied in the corner, Bear standing over him with a pistol to his head. "Where's Elena?" Bear pointed toward the bedroom. Maya ran. Elena was huddled in the corner, arms wrapped around her knees, tears streaming down her face. But she was alive. She was whole. She was okay. "Mommy." Maya dropped to her knees and pulled her daughter into her arms. She held her so tight it hurt, feeling the small body shake with sobs against her chest. "I've got you, baby. I've got you. You're safe now." The bad men came. They had guns. Miss Sarah tried to fight them, but shh, it's over. They can't hurt you anymore. "I was so scared, Mommy. I thought you weren't coming." "I will always come for you, Elena. Always. No matter what. Do you understand?" Elena nodded against her shoulder. I love you, Mommy. I love you too, Sunshine. More than anything in the whole world. Maya looked up to find Cross standing in the doorway, watching with an expression Maya couldn't read. Morrison made a mistake, Cross said quietly. He threatened a mother's child. There's no recovering from that. No, Maya agreed, her voice cold as Arctic ice. There isn't. She stood lifting Elena with her. The little girl clung to her neck, still trembling. What happens now? Bear asked. Maya looked at her team, at Cross, at her daughter, who had been through more in 6 years than most people experienced in a lifetime. Now, Maya said, we go to war. 24 hours. That was all the time they had. Maya stood in the safe house Cross had arranged, watching Elena sleep on a small cot. The little girl had finally stopped crying, exhaustion winning over terror. Her small hand clutched the stuffed rabbit she'd had since birth, the one Daniel had bought before she was even born. She's strong, Cross said from the doorway, like her mother. She shouldn't have to be strong. She should be worried about homework and playground games, not men with guns trying to kidnap her. After tonight, she won't have to worry anymore. Maya turned to face Cross. You really believe that? I believe Morrison made his last mistake when he threatened her. A man who threatens children has already lost. He just doesn't know it yet. In the main room, the team was preparing. Bear was checking weapons, laying them out with military precision. Viper was on her laptop, studying satellite imagery of Morrison's compound. Tech was running communications checks. Diego, his shoulder bandaged, but functional, was preparing medical supplies. Okay, Bear said when Maya joined them. Here's what we know. Morrison is at his private estate in Aspen. 15-acre property, 12-man security team, state-of-the-art surveillance systems. He thinks he's untouchable. He's wrong, Viper said. I've found 3 blind spots in his camera coverage. Here, here, and here. She pointed at the screen. If we time it right, we can get a 2-person team inside without being detected. 2 people against 12 guards. Tech shook his head. Those aren't great odds. They won't have to fight 12 guards, Cross said, stepping forward. I still have contacts inside Morrison's organization. People who are loyal to me, not him. I can get at least half his security team to stand down when the time comes. You expect us to trust your people? Bear's voice was skeptical. I expect you to trust math. 6 guards are easier to handle than 12. Maya studied the layout on the screen. What about Morrison himself? Is he likely to run? No. Cross was certain. His ego won't let him. He'll stay and fight because he believes he's smarter than everyone else. He believes he's already won. Then let's prove him wrong. The plan came together over the next few hours. Viper would provide overwatch from a ridge overlooking the property. Tech would handle electronic warfare, disabling Morrison's communications and surveillance systems. Diego would wait with a vehicle for extraction and emergency medical support. Bear and Maya would go in together, just like the old days. And Cross would be their inside woman, coordinating with her loyalists to create chaos at the critical moment. One thing, Maya said before they dispersed to prepare. Morrison is mine. Whatever happens in there, however this goes down, I'm the one who ends it. Nobody argued. At 2 a.m. they moved out. Elena stayed at the safe house with Sarah Chen, who had recovered from her injuries and insisted on helping. Marcus Webb was there too, his old revolver cleaned and loaded standing guard like he had 40 years ago in Korea. You come back to that little girl, Webb told Maya before she left. You hear me? She needs her mother. I hear you. And when you find the bastard who did all this, you make him pay. For Daniel, for all of them. I will. The drive to Aspen took 3 hours. They arrived at 5 a.m., the sky still dark, the mountains silent and cold. Viper split off to find her position. Tech set up in a van half a mile from the property. Diego parked the extraction vehicle at the designated point. Maya and Bear approached on foot, moving through the forest like shadows, just like old times, Bear whispered. Except we're older and slower. Speak for yourself. I've been training. In a diner kitchen. Hey, those grease fires are no joke. Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. Bear had always known how to cut tension with humor. It was one of the things she'd missed most about him. They reached the perimeter at 5:47 a.m. Tech's voice came through the earpiece. Okay, I'm in their system. Cameras are looping. You've got a 3-minute window before the pattern becomes obvious. Go. They went. The first blind spot was a section of fence near the service entrance. Bear cut through the wire while Maya covered him. They slipped through and moved toward the main house. 2 guards at the rear door, Viper reported. Stationary. They're not expecting company. Cross, are your people ready? On my signal. Maya and Bear reached the corner of the house. The 2 guards were visible 20 meters away, smoking cigarettes and looking bored. Now cross! Inside the house, something happened. Shouts. Gunfire. The 2 guards spun toward the noise, reaching for their weapons. They never got the chance. Maya and Bear moved as one. 2 shots perfectly synchronized. 2 guards down. They stepped over the bodies and entered the house. Chaos had erupted inside. Cross's loyalists had turned on Morrison's men, and a firefight was raging through the ground floor. Maya used the confusion to move, heading for the stairs, heading for Morrison's private office on the 3rd floor. Bear, cover the stairs. Nobody comes up behind me. Copy that. Go get him. Maya climbed. 2nd floor clear. 3rd floor, 2 guards at the end of the hallway. She dropped them both before they could raise their weapons. The door to Morrison's office was reinforced steel, locked from the inside. Morrison! Maya pounded on the door. It's over. Your security is down. Your network is compromised. Open this door. Silence. I have the evidence, James. Everything Cross gathered. Bank records, communications, the names of every politician and general you've bribed. It's already been uploaded to secure servers. If I don't walk out of here alive, it goes public in 6 hours. More silence. Then the sound of locks disengaging. The door swung open. Admiral James Morrison stood behind his desk, a pistol in his hand. He was older than Maya remembered, his hair silver, now his face lined with age. But his eyes were the same. Cold. Calculating. The eyes of a man who had sent hundreds of soldiers to their deaths for profit. Maya Torres. His voice was calm. Or should I say Lieutenant Commander Torres? I always forget you made rank before you left. Put down the weapon, Morrison. You know I can't do that. He gestured with the pistol. Close the door. We should talk privately. Maya stepped inside, keeping her own weapon trained on his chest. The door clicked shut behind her. You've caused me a great deal of trouble, Morrison said. 3 years of careful planning undone in a matter of days. I have to admit I'm impressed. I'm not here for your admiration. No, I suppose you're not. You're here for revenge, for Daniel, for all the others. Morrison shook his head. You know, I actually liked Daniel. He was a good man, loyal, dedicated. It was a shame he had to die. You ordered his death. I ordered the elimination of a threat to national security. Daniel had discovered information that could have destabilized the entire defense infrastructure of this country. Billions of dollars in contracts, thousands of jobs, relationships with allies that took decades to build. Morrison's voice hardened. One man's life against all of that. The math was simple. The math? Maya's gun didn't waver. You reduced my husband to math. I reduced him to what he was, a variable, an obstacle. Just like you're an obstacle now. Then why am I still alive? Because you're useful. Or you could be. The network I built is damaged, but not destroyed. With the right leadership, it could be rebuilt. Better than before. You're offering me a job. I'm offering you a partnership. Think about it, Maya. You have skills connections, a team of highly trained operators who would follow you anywhere. We could accomplish things together that neither of us could accomplish alone. You killed my husband. I made a business decision. One that I regret, if that helps. Daniel was valuable. His death cost me more than you know. It cost me everything. Then let me give you something back. Money, power, resources. Enough to ensure Elena never wants for anything. Enough to build whatever life you want, wherever you want. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Morrison watched her hope flickering in his cold eyes. You really don't understand, do you? Maya said finally. You think everyone is like you. You think everyone can be bought. You think everything is just numbers and leverage and acceptable losses. Isn't it? No. Some things are sacred. Some things are worth dying for. Love, family, honor. Maya's voice dropped. Daniel understood that. It's why he confronted you even knowing it might kill him. Because some things matter more than survival. Morrison's expression hardened. Sentiment. That's what got Daniel killed. That's what's going to get you killed. Maybe, but at least I'll die knowing I stood for something. Morrison raised his pistol. I'm sorry it has to end this way. I really am. So am I. Maya moved. Morrison fired, but she was already diving left, the bullet passing through the space where her head had been. She came up shooting 2 rounds into his gun arm, and the pistol clattered to the floor. Morrison screamed and clutched his wounded arm. Maya crossed the distance in 3 steps and drove her elbow into his face. He went down hard, blood streaming from his broken nose. That was for Daniel. She kicked him in the ribs. That was for Elena. Another kick harder. And that was for every soldier you sold out for profit. Morrison groaned, curled on the floor, the powerful admiral reduced to a bleeding wreck. Kill me, he gasped. Just do it. End this. Maya stood over him, her weapon aimed at his head. 1 shot, 1 squeeze of the trigger, and it would all be over. Daniel would be avenged. Her family would be safe. Justice would be served. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Mom would want you to do the right thing. The voice came from the doorway. Maya spun to find Cross standing there, a strange expression on her face. She used to say that. Your mother. When things got hard, when the choices weren't clear, she'd say, do the right thing, even when it's the hard thing. Maya's blood turned cold. How do you know my mother? Because she was my handler. 30 years ago when I first joined the agency, Rachel Torres recruited me personally. The revelation hit like a physical blow. My mother was CIA. Your mother was one of the best operatives this country ever produced. She died on a mission in 1995, protecting assets that would later become crucial to national security. She died a hero, Maya, and her last request was that the agency watch over her daughter. You've been watching me my whole life. From a distance, until Yemen when watching wasn't enough anymore. Maya's weapon trembled. Everything she thought she knew was shifting, rearranging into a new pattern. Why didn't you tell me? Because your mother wanted you to have a normal life. She wanted you to make your own choices, find your own path. She never wanted you to follow her into this world of shadows and secrets. Cross stepped closer. But you found it anyway. just like she knew you would. The Torres women don't run from fights. They run toward them. Morrison was trying to crawl toward the door. Maya put her foot on his back, pinning him to the floor. "What's the right thing here, Cross? Tell me. Because I've spent 3 years wanting to kill this man, and now you're telling me my mother would want me to spare him. I'm telling you your mother would want you to choose, not react, not let rage make the decision for you." Cross met her eyes. What does Maya Torres want? Not Phantom. Not the widow. Not the soldier. Maya. The mother. The woman. Maya looked down at Morrison, at the man who had destroyed her life, who had taken her husband, who had threatened her daughter. Every instinct screamed for blood. But she thought of Elena, of the little girl who looked at her like she was a superhero, of the mother she wanted to be, not the killer she'd been trained to become. "I want him to suffer," Maya said quietly. "I want him to lose everything he built. I want him to spend the rest of his life in a cell knowing that a 28-year-old mother destroyed his empire. Then let him live. Let the system take him. Let the world see what he really is." Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she lowered her weapon. "Get up." Morrison looked up at her with pure hatred. "You're making a mistake." "Maybe. But it's my mistake to make." She hauled him to his feet, his wounded arms screaming in protest. "James Morrison, you're under arrest for treason, murder weapons trafficking, and about 100 other charges I'll let the lawyers figure out." "You have no authority to arrest me." "No, but they do." The door burst open. FBI agents poured in, followed by men in military uniforms. Rodriguez was with them, his face grim but satisfied. "Admiral James Morrison," Rodriguez said formally, "you are hereby taken into custody pending court-martial for crimes against the United States and its service members." "This is insanity. I'm a decorated officer. I have connections. You have nothing." Rodriguez held up a tablet showing news coverage. "Your accounts have been frozen. Your political allies are distancing themselves. The president issued a statement an hour ago disavowing any knowledge of your activities." "You can't do this to me. I built this country's defense infrastructure. You protected yourself." Maya stepped back, letting the agents take him. "That's all you ever did." As Morrison was dragged away, shouting threats and promises of revenge, Cross approached Maya. "Your mother would be proud." "I don't know what my mother would think. Apparently I didn't know her at all." "You knew the part that mattered, the part that loved you, the part that wanted you to be happy." Cross reached into her pocket and pulled out a small envelope. "She left this for you, in case you ever found out the truth." Maya took the envelope. Her name was written on the front in handwriting she hadn't seen in 30 years. "I'll give you some privacy," Cross said, and left. Maya opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a single photograph and a letter. The photograph showed a young woman in military gear standing in front of an American flag. She looked so much like Maya that it hurt. Her mother. The spy. The hero she never knew. The letter was short. "My darling Maya, if you're reading this, then you've learned the truth about who I was. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you myself. I'm sorry for all the secrets and lies. But I want you to know one thing. Everything I did to protect you. To protect this country. To make the world safe for little girls who deserved better than the darkness I lived in. I knew even when you were small that you had my spirit, my strength, my stubbornness. I knew you would grow up to be extraordinary whether you followed my path or not. Be extraordinary, my love. But more importantly, be happy. Be kind. Be the mother I never got to be. and know that wherever I am watching. I am proud, and I love you more than words could ever say. All my love forever, Mom." Maya read the letter 3 times. Then she folded it carefully, put it back in the envelope, and tucked it into her pocket, close to her heart. 12 hours later, Maya walked back into the safe house in Pine Ridge. Elena was waiting for her face pressed against the window. When she saw her mother, she exploded through the door and ran across the yard, launching herself into Maya's arms. "Mommy, you came back. I told you I would, Sunshine. I will always come back." "Is it over? Are the bad men gone?" Maya held her daughter close, feeling the small heart beating against her own. "The bad men are gone, baby. They're never going to hurt us again." "Promise. Promise." They walked inside together, hand in hand. The team was there. Bear and Viper Tech and Diego, Sarah Chen and Marcus Webb. Even Cross, standing awkwardly in the corner, like she wasn't sure she belonged. "So," Bear said, breaking the silence, "what now?" Maya looked around at these people. Her family. The ones who had fought beside her, protected her daughter, helped her bring down an empire of corruption and lies. "Now," she said, "we live, we heal, we figure out who we are when we're not fighting." "That sounds boring," Viper said with a small smile. "Boring sounds pretty good right now." Elena tugged on Maya's sleeve. "Mommy, yes, baby, can we get a dog?" Despite everything, despite the exhaustion and the trauma and the weight of all they'd been through, Maya laughed, a real laugh from somewhere deep inside, the kind she hadn't made in years. "Yeah, Sunshine, we can get a dog. A big one, the biggest." Elena's face lit up with pure joy, and in that moment Maya knew that everything they'd sacrificed, everything they'd risked, had been worth it. 6 months later, life in Pine Ridge had found a new rhythm. Maya still worked at the elementary school, but now everyone knew who she really was. Parents who had once barely noticed her now nodded with respect when she passed. Children whispered that Miss Torres was secretly a superhero. Elena had become the most popular kid in 1st grade, not that she understood why. The team had scattered, but not far. Bear opened a small security consulting firm in Denver. Viper got a job as a park ranger in the mountains, where she could be alone with the wilderness she loved. Tech was teaching computer science at the local community college. Diego expanded his free clinic, helping veterans and their families with medical care and counseling. Cross had disappeared, as she always did, but she left behind a trust fund for Elena's education, anonymously funded enough to send her to any college in the country. Morrison was awaiting trial in a military prison. The evidence against him was overwhelming. He would never see freedom again. On a warm spring evening, Maya sat on her porch watching Elena play in the yard with their new dog, a massive Great Dane named Thunder. The name had been Elena's idea. Her phone buzzed. "Rodriguez. The committee wants to give you the Medal of Honor. Classified ceremony, of course, but full recognition for everything you've done." "I don't need a medal." "Maybe not, but your country needs heroes, Maya, even secret ones." Maya watched Elena throw a ball for Thunder, laughing as the giant dog bounded after it with clumsy enthusiasm. "I have everything I need, James. Right here." "I understand, but the offer stands. Whenever you're ready." "I know." She hung up and walked down to join her daughter in the yard. Thunder came running over, nearly knocking her down with excitement. Elena giggled and threw her arms around Maya's waist. "Mommy, watch this. Thunder can catch the ball in the air." "Show me." Elena threw the ball. Thunder leaped, missed completely, and crashed into a bush. Maya and Elena laughed together, the sound carrying across the quiet evening. Mommy, yeah, baby. I'm glad you're not a superhero anymore. Maya knelt down to her daughter's level. Why's that? Because now you can be here all the time, and that's better than saving the world. Maya pulled Elena into a hug, breathing in the smell of her hair, feeling the warmth of her small body. You know what, Sunshine, you're absolutely right. Because in the end, Maya Torres had learned something that all her training had never taught her. The greatest victory wasn't defeating enemies or dismantling empires. It wasn't medals or recognition or the respect of nations. The greatest victory was this: a warm evening, a laughing child, a dog too clumsy to catch a ball, a life simple enough to be extraordinary. 3 years ago, she had been Phantom, a ghost, a weapon disguised as a woman. Now she was just Maya. A mother, a teacher's aide, a woman who had walked through fire and come out the other side scarred, but whole, broken, but rebuilt. She had picked up a gun to protect her daughter, and she had put it down to raise her. That was the choice that mattered. That was the victory that counted. And as the sun set over Pine Ridge, painting the mountains gold and purple, Maya Torres held her daughter close and finally truly, completely let herself feel peace. The war was over. The soldier had come home. And home, she finally understood, was not a place. It was a 6-year-old girl with her father's eyes and her mother's stubborn spirit. It was love strong enough to fight for. It was a future worth living. The end.